Welcome to the Historical Interface Museum. You have selected the Roman Empire. All evidence loaded and ready for investigation.
Give me the choices, Curator.
My pleasure, Melanie.
Rome? All right. I'll go for that. Give me Rome. I'll take that one.
Rome, capital city of the empire. Population estimated at 1 million.
Was that a lot?
Then it was. 1 in every 70 people in the empire lived here.
Why did people come here?
It was the center of political life, of finance, of entertainment.
So?
So people wanted to be where it was all happening.
Show me.
The choice is yours.
All right. I'll have a text.
The city is filled with beautiful buildings, and there are more than 1,000 fountains. Well worth a look. In the Forum of Trajan, you're simply struck dumb. How did anybody build anything like this? It's sheer genius. Once in 1,000 years, you will see buildings this magnificent. The emperor donated some gold to the Temple of Jupiter, 16,000 pounds of it, and gave pearls and precious stones worth at least 500,000 gold pieces. Moving along now...
Let's see that. It's a model.
Yes, it is. It gives you a good idea of what the city must have been like.
Why do we need the model?
Because so much of ancient Rome has disappeared or is in ruins. You're heading towards the center of ancient Rome. Take a look around. These would have been shops and houses. And there, at the foot of the Palatine Hill, was the original settlement, the farming village by the River Tiber. The Forum Square, one of the centers of city life.
Not much to look at now. Just a few columns and a load of stones.
But you can use the evidence to build up a picture of the way it was.
How did you do that?
Build from the evidence that remains. Bases for the pillars. The foundations are still here for a covered walkway. These columns are part of the Temple of Saturn, which housed the state treasury. Over there, the tabularium, the public records office, now part of the foundations of other buildings. Temples. The arch is easy. Now complete with horses on top. And last but not least, the bronze statue of the Emperor Domitian.
I don't get it. I mean, how do you know there were statues on top? How do you know about the man on his horse?
Select detail. The holes where the clamps would have held the horse's feet. And there's other evidence. The Romans built the same kind of forum in towns throughout the empire, from Egypt to England. So it's a huge jigsaw with pieces scattered all across the ancient world. You use a bit from one place in time, a bit from another, to build up a picture. But it's a jigsaw you can never finish.
Okay. So what was it like to live in Rome?
Well, if I can recommend... Juvenal, a satirist.
We're in a hurry, right? But no way can we get through. Crowds in front, crowds behind. I get thumped by someone's elbow, whacked on the head with a wooden beam, clouted round the ear with a wine jar. I'm coated with mud up to my knees. My toes are stamped on, bruised and squashed. And there's wagons roll by, piled high with timber and marble, and believe me, if that little lot goes, you won't even find the bodies underneath. They'll be that flat. Rome. Don't you just love it?
Did Juvenal really speak like that?
Unknown, but that is a modern translation of the words he wrote in Latin.
If it was that crowded, why would anyone want to live there?
For the same reason people want to live in any big city. There's something for everyone.
Oh yeah, like your local shopping centre.
Exactly. Shopping, Roman style. Trajan's Market. 4 floors and 150 shops.
Really?
It's impossible to know everything that was sold here, but it was probably a center for spices, since one of the streets is called Pepper Street.
Where did all the stuff come from?
From Egypt, per year, 150,000 tons of grain, 10,000 jars of wine. From the Near East, dates and tropical fruits. From Spain and Greece, olives and olive oil. From the Balearic Isles, oranges. Copper from Cyprus. Silver from Greece. Tin and lead from Britain. Jewels and silk from India and Persia. Glass from Syria.
Is there evidence for all of this?
More evidence? Of course. Ostia, the main port for the city of Rome. If you want to take a closer look, make a selection. A horia, a warehouse for grain. This one at Ostia was 2 stories high, built round a courtyard. These jars were used for the transportation and storage of food. Rome had 1 million mouths to feed, and there was no way they could grow enough locally. The Roman poor depended on daily handouts of grain and bread, and if there wasn't enough, things could turn very nasty.
People round here are obsessed by 2 things: the supply of food and entertainment. Bread and circuses. Nosh and an ease up. I woke up this morning and everybody's disappeared. I thought, are they trying to tell me something? And then I remembered. The spring races are on at the moment, and all Rome is at the circus. The whole mob. Well, the spring races are perfect for trendy young men. They can shout for their teams, place a few bets, sit around posing with their trendy girlfriends. Just imagine it. The Circus Maximus.
Circuses? We're not talking clowns, are we?
No, no. The World Cup, the Olympic Games, nothing compares to the Romans' love of chariot racing. It was the sport, and the Circus Maximus was its home. It could hold 250,000 people. That's 3 times as big as Wembley Stadium. And admission was free. 3 stories of seating, the lowest of marble, the highest of wood. 24 races a day, 30 days of the year. There were 4 factions. The Reds, the Greens, the Blues, the Whites. The races ran 7 laps, 2.5 miles.
That's not history, that's Hollywood.
Good challenge. Films are made to tell stories, not for historical accuracy. So, test the film. Use the evidence.
I'll have an artifact.
A mosaic from Italy.
That looks the same as the film.
A painting from France.
That's no good. Can't see the buildings.
A carving from Turkey.
No more artifacts. I'll try text this time.
The wheels fly, the dust is choking, the drivers whip their horses on, leaning forward right out of the chariots, flogging them. The chariots flash past, covering the ground. When they come round the far turn, the rival teams have passed Consentius, but his partner is still leading. One of the Reds goes for a tight turn at the far post, but it's too tight. Consentius is right there behind him. He's past him, and the Red horses go down. They go down, out of control, and the driver is thrown. Yes, he's thrown, and he's not moving. His body lies broken and bloody.
So what else did people go and see?
There's plenty to choose from. 1 million people had to be entertained. Make a selection.
What's this?
These are the ruins of the Colosseum, the big public arena where they held the gladiator and wild animal fights. It could hold 50,000 spectators. There were 80 entrances, and in emergencies, the whole stadium could be cleared in minutes. The front seats were reserved for senators, then the knights and middle classes. The poor sat above them, then foreigners and slaves, and they'd come to see a good show. All of this area would have been under the arena. It's where the wild animals and gladiators were kept. Coming attractions were advertised all over the city.
C. Marcus Lucius presents a Cassius Diodorus production, The Spectacle of Spectacles. Trained elephants performing apes, all the bloody violence of the jungle as lions battle rhinos, panthers fight bears, see the wild boar hunt, and the full-scale battle between the Thracians and the Samnites. Massive casualties guaranteed.
Magnificent. He's drawn him on now.
now. If he keeps fighting like this, he'll surely win his freedom as well as the bout. A hit! Blood is drawn, the Rettiari is cut, he's down. What a turn round. The Mermeloni is known as a great finisher, and he moves in, relentless, confident, sword raised. He's down! The Mermeloni's down! He's netted! He scrabbles back, but the Rettiari is up! Trident raised! Surely this is all over now! He looks towards the royal box. The crowd howls their derision at the heavy boy, and yes, the sun is down!
Did the Romans enjoy all this killing?
Not all of them, and many people since have condemned the Romans for their love of slaughter. Select an expert.
This all-pervading brutality, this love of cruelty for its own sake, I often wonder whether it was the result of being a slave-owning society. But wherever it came from, it's what makes the ancient Romans, to me, such a deeply unattractive race.
Yes, indeed. Now, Seneca thinks it's pure and simple murder. And he's right. The lunchtime slot at the games. It's off with the armour. No protection, no skill involved, just certain death. And the crowds love it. And then the animals. Now, we're civilised people. So what's the pleasure in watching a fellow human mauled by some man-eater? Or a magnificent beast, stabbed over and over and over again with a dirty great long spear?
That's really cruel.
Maybe. Try something else.
Is that at Pompeii?
No. On your left, up Pompeii. On your right, a scene from a play by Plautus, The Haunted House. But has comedy changed much in 2,000 years?
The old master's back. I saw him disembarking at the port. Oh dear, what am I going to do? He fancies about this, and his young son, and the moneylender and borrowing. Oh dear, my master's coming back. I better warn the mistress. Oh dear. I don't want to be thrown alive. I'm too young to die, too young. I'm too young to die, too young. God, I'm too young. Nobody goes to sleep when I'm on.
Thousands of Roman plays have survived. All provide good evidence of everyday life. They were enjoyed in theaters all over the empire.
I was half dead when I finally got here. I'm never going to see again. From now on, you and I part company.
The acoustics were so good you could hear the actors even at the back.
What next?
A model of the baths of Diocletian. The Romans loved the baths. They went almost every day to meet their friends, exercise, relax, scrounge an invite to dinner. This one held over 3,000 people. It even had libraries, snack shops, gardens, and this was just one of over 1,000 baths in Rome. This is the changing room. You'd stack your clothes here and get your slave to sit and guard them.
Why?
Oh, there was a thriving trade in stolen clothing. The exercise yard where you'd work up a sweat. The warm room. Shelves here for oil and strigils.
Oil and what?
Strigils. They didn't use soap. They oiled their bodies, then scraped the dirt off with these. There was a brazier at one end to heat the room, as well as underfloor heating. The steam room. See the ridges on the ceiling? That's where the steam condensed and rolled back down the wall, rather than dripping.
Clever.
Water would drip from the fountain onto the floor and make steam. A hot bath. Fire under the floor to keep the water hot. Cold plunge. See the window?
Why is it that shape?
To follow the sun as it sets. Believe me, these places were busy, open day and night.
Give me a text.
I've got lodgings right over the baths. You can imagine the noise. When some health nut is exercising with lead weights, I can hear him grunting, you know. Some lazy bloke contents himself with a cheap rub-down. Slap, 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 slap. And then the umpire calls out the scores in a ball game. Add to that the arrest of the occasional drunkard or pickpocket, and the man who sings in the bath, not to mention the hair plucker, who never holds his tongue except when he's plucking his victim's armpits and making the victim yell instead.
Is that in Rome?
No, it's in North Africa, but it shows how they got water from A to B. The aqueducts, one of the marvels of Roman technology, bringing water from springs to the cities. There were 14 aqueducts feeding Rome, 250 miles overall. Many carried several channels of water. The Cloaca Maxima, Rome's main sewer.
The sewers are large enough for wagons loaded with hay to pass through them.
Public toilets.
Where's the partitions? Oh, they were made of wood. They rotted away, right?
There were no partitions. The Romans didn't feel any embarrassment about their natural functions. It was something you did every day, so why not spend the time in good company?
He'll warm that loose seat all day through, just chatting and lost in conversation. He doesn't really need to use the loo. All he wants is a dinner invitation.
So there we have it. Bread and circuses, everything on a plate. Free grain, spectacular entertainment, and all the mod cons.
So what's the catch?
Nothing is ever as good as it seems.
In Rome, people die from lack of sleep. No, seriously. It's the noise of the traffic jams. Why do we have traffic jams at night? Because they don't allow traffic during the day. That is good town planning, is it not? And as for going out at night, you are plain stupid if you do not make a will before venturing forth. There's plenty of drunken yobbos just waiting to mug you. And do they pick on anybody else? No, they pick on me. Yeah, what are you looking at? And if you manage to avoid them, the chances are somebody's robbed your house in the meantime. So if you enjoy being crushed by crowds, deafened, duffed up and robbed, or having your house fall down, burnt down or burgled, Rome's the place for you.
City life. To be at the center of the civilized world. All systems disengaging.